Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, I'm Els. I'm 12 years old and I'm at the PS10 College in Bladel. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm Lola. I'm a classmate of Els. I'm also 12 years old. And I'm also at the PS10 College in Bladel.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Mila. I'm also a classmate of Els and Lola. I'm 13 years old and I'm also at the bilingual education of the PS10 College in Bladel.
Yeah.
Very good. So in Dutch, I think you're all called brugpiepers. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
And we do VWO in English, and we are going to show our parents what we have learned so far. So we are doing a presentation about the Brexit, and we would like to ask you some questions.
Yes, well, go ahead. I'm all yours.
Okay. How have you become an ambassador?
By working long and hard for about 25 years. You don't become an ambassador overnight, of course. Normally you go through the ranks. So you start as a junior, well, you could say civil servant or junior diplomat. In diplomatic language, this is called a third secretary of embassy or a junior policy officer. And then as the years go by and hopefully your experience and wisdom grows, in the end you get to be nominated as ambassador. This is normally on the premise of the foreign minister and then the cabinet, so the Dutch regering, the cabinet has to decide. And in the end, the king also has to put a signature under this decision.
Okay.
What does an ambassador do abroad?
A lot. An ambassador is the representative of his or her country abroad, and that means that in the broadest sense you represent the government of your country, and that means keeping in contact with the government here, with the ministries, to do, in my case, Holland promotion to events, like now of course Brexit. I think we get to talk about that a bit more during our interview. But it's also cultural diplomacy, and it's taking care of all the Dutch citizens living and working here in the UK. We have about 150,000 Dutch passport holders. We also have about 200 detainees, so prisoners who are in English prisons, and we have to take care of them all.
Okay. Your next question, ladies.
Were you an ambassador in London during the Brexit campaign?
Yes, I was, as a matter of fact. I came here in 2015, a couple of months ahead of the Dutch EU presidency, which started, of course, on the 1st of January 2016 and lasted for 6 months. And of course, right at the end of our presidency, the last week of June, we had the referendum with, of course, the results that we hadn't hoped for or even anticipated, but that was the reality dawning upon us on the morning of the 24th of June, where it was decided that the UK should leave the EU.
Lola, could you go to question number 5? I think that is a good question. We have numbered the questions. We've changed a bit, but we will find out.
Problem.
Yeah.
We have seen many headlines for the Leave campaign to tell the readers how bad the European Union is for the British. What can you tell about the headlines now, and have they changed?
Yeah. Can I explain for a minute?
Sure.
We have together we have had a look at Daily Mail, The Sun, the tabloid papers, and we've seen how that has affected the atmosphere before the referendum. And your question now is?
What can you tell about the headlines now, and if they have changed?
Well, first of all, and I think that's an important point, there are still many headlines in all the papers. It's still a daily discussion here in the UK, you know, to Brexit or not to Brexit. That is the question for many people still. So the discussion is far from over, you could say. And the tabloids have been pretty consistent in saying we are better off outside the EU. And there was only a project fear, you know, by the so-called Remainers or Remoners, as they are sometimes called, people who wanted to stay, to the UK to stay in the European Union. And it's a fact that so far there haven't been a lot of detrimental effects, apart from the fact that, of course, economic growth is slower than in all the other countries of the EU, including the Euro countries, and of course that the pound has taken quite a big hit ever since the referendum. So the discussion and the headlines, I think, are still very much the talk of the town. They're very much in the actual political arena. And in that case, I think, in that respect, there's not a lot of change from what we've seen in the campaign leading up to the Brexit referendum.
Because we have seen headlines that were all against the EU. It's about hatred and independence and mistrust and distrust. It's still the same? That hasn't changed?
And that is still, I think that hasn't changed a lot. If you talk about the tabloids, they are very much in favor of Brexit. They, in their language and portraying of the whole situation, they are, I think they haven't changed in their criticism of the EU or of the negotiations. So in that respect, as I said before, they have been pretty consistently anti-EU and pro-Brexit.
Yeah. Question number 4 perhaps now, Ilse.
Do you have a special Brexit team at your MC?
We don't have a special Brexit team, but we have a Brexit task force consisting of policy officers and people from other departments in the embassy that I got together almost on the day after the referendum, so mid-2016, to start discussing, start analyzing and start relationships, what possible consequences might be. And we do very regular reporting, of course, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in The Hague. We call it the Brexit Barometer. And this is one of the many things we do in the Brexit field. It is. I think you don't exaggerate, or I wouldn't exaggerate by saying that Brexit is part of our everyday work now. Maybe for more than half of what we do.
Mila.
Is it it's important for young people to study abroad? What are the effects of Brexit for Dutch and British students who want to study abroad?
Well, there is a general fear among students that we talk to that it will get more complicated and more expensive to study abroad, because a number of the European programs that we have in place, like the Erasmus program, making it possible to study abroad for all European students, that of course will be gone in future for British students. And for students from the Netherlands, it might become a bit more complicated in that respect. It might become more expensive. And I think the same goes for British students who want to study in the EU. So it will be probably more complicated, and it will, I think, almost certainly become more expensive.
Okay. And what will change for tourists who want to travel to Great Britain?
Well, at this moment, I don't foresee any big changes. If for short stays, for instance, if you want to visit London for a weekend, what you have to do is, of course, take your passport. Because, as you probably know, the UK is not part of the Schengen Agreement for free travel and traveling, without the need for identification. So that, in that respect, I don't think there will be many changes. But of course, we still have to wait and see what will happen during the actual taking leave of the UK, which will start, of course, at the 29th of March of next year, so less than a year to go. And of course, what happens after the so-called transition period, which will end in December 2020, if that is all agreed. And there is a saying, nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. So we'll have to see what all this means when everything is put in writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, and yeah, we enjoyed it a lot, and we learned a lot too, I think.
And could I interrupt for a minute? Before this interview, these three ladies in year one, they did a lot of work on the Brexit. It was my idea to start on it. And they told me what they think about it now. So could you tell Mr. Smits what your idea is about the topic, the Brexit? What was your starting point and what do you think about it now?
At the beginning I didn't really know what I could expect from this subject, but now I know more and I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, and
Very good. And do you think it's a good idea that the UK has decided to leave the EU?
No.
Okay.
yeah, I
Well,
also
I think many Dutch people would agree with you, and probably quite a few people from the UK as well. But there you are. They have decided, so it probably will happen.
And at first I thought like they should leave because it costs them very much money, but now I think that it's very stupid to leave.
Now that you know more, you mean?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Oh, well, for us also, of course, there will be cost involved because not many people know this, but the Netherlands is one of the biggest investor from Europe into this country, and we are a big exporter also to the UK. As a matter of fact, the UK, after Germany, is our second largest trading partner. So there is a lot at stake for Dutch industry as well.
Yeah. Okay, could you say goodbye and express your gratitude?
Yeah, well,
Thanks for your time, and I've enjoyed it and I've learned a lot, so thank you.
Okay, good luck with your project.
yeah,
And I
thank you.
hope this has brought what you expected, and
Yes.
you can build on that. So thank you very much for your time, and I think you had
Yeah.
excellent questions, and I'd like to commend you on your command of the English language. Well done, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah.